So you've clicked on this video because you want to know a little bit more about me. Well, I am a longtime Roseville resident, so I think I moved here in 1998. Yep. And so it's been quite a number of years. Amy and I were original owners of this house. We bought it in 2001, again, here in West Roseville. So we know our way around the block. If you've traveled up and down Junction, you might have seen me walking because I try to walk a lot to keep myself healthy. Well, I'm not going to tell you everything about me. That's maybe something we can talk about when you and I are together, like in an informational meeting. But for now, I thought just maybe I'll give you the Cliff Notes overview. So I am 52, and I have been a believer, I think, since I was 4 years old. So really, really long time. And I never had any of those backsliding years. Have I made mistakes? Yep, plenty of mistakes. There were times where I didn't obey the Lord. So I am a fallen person just like anybody else. But at the same time, I never turned my back on God. So I am really grateful for that. Well, at some point, everybody has to decide who they are. And at some point, I decided that I was going to follow God, Yahweh, with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength. And I would put that probably around the age of 18, 19. I went off to college, Fresno State, and when I was there, I decided that I wanted to find a church and figure out a way to follow Yahweh. And I did. I was pretty faithful in that process, and I was going to a really large church, I think just because it was something available to me, and I was kind of exploring different churches. And they asked me to be an intern there. So I was 20 years old at that time. And as an intern, I met my wife, Amy. We've been married for about 30 years. So I went to Fresno State, graduated from Fresno State. I was an intern, and then what they did was the church, they asked me, hey, would you like to be a missionary? And I thought, well, this is a one-year assignment. I'll do that. So Amy and I in 1994 and 95 went to the Philippines for a year, which was great. I wanted to be a missions-minded pastor. So we did that, came back. Then I took over the college department. I think I did that for about 3 or 4 years. And then in one of my last classes at seminary, it was Mennonite Brethren Biblical Seminary at the time, but now it is FPU, or Fresno Pacific University. Someone in there was kind of quasi-head of church planting for the Baptist General Conference, and they asked me if I would consider planting or starting a church. So I said yes to that, and I felt like I was led of the Lord. I mean, Amy and I prayed and so forth, and so that's when we moved up to Roseville in 98. So then planted, and we did that for about 7 years, and it was good. But I went through a lot of changes, as people often do during their 30s, and I had a lot of questions about the Bible. And what I mean by that is, what does it mean to obey? So a question that I've been asking for literally, since I was 20, so 30 years is, what is a disciple of Jesus, and then how do we make one? And I wondered what the role of the law or the Torah was in all of that, and I couldn't figure out why we followed some of it and why we didn't. More on that in another video. But anyway, I started the church. It was good. And just because of all those changes, I ended up saying I shouldn't lead this church in this way any longer. And then the church ended up winding up. But a lot of it had to do with the changes that I was experiencing in my own life and my own theology, which was good and right. And I'll get to that in other videos. Well, in that process, some people ask me sometimes about my theological education. You know, I'm happy about all that, but I want you to know that really what qualifies me, the reason that what drives me is I'm just absolutely in love with the God who created me, with Jesus, with Yeshua. And because of that, I just have compassion on people, and I want to help people out and make disciples. That's it. Now, that said, I did go to the seminary that I told you about. And then I went on to Azusa Pacific. They have the Haggard School of Theology. So I did what's called a D-Min in spiritual formation there. Then I did a PhD at Fuller Theological Seminary. And what's weird is I ended up teaching at Fuller for about 10 years. And I'm wildly conservative. And Fuller is known often for it's liberal theology, not to be confused with like necessarily conservative and liberal politics. Is a little bit different than that. But that said, I did that, and in the meantime, been a school teacher and learning and developing. And more than anything, I think you need to hear from me is I am just a guy that doesn't need to accomplish anything anymore. Again, I'm 52, learned a lot. I'm doing what I do for one reason, and that is because I'm in love with God, and I have compassion on people, and a lot of people in our day and age, they just don't know that there's a God that loves them, and I want to communicate that and help people learn to follow the God who made them. All right, I'll see you over in the next video.